one of the least understood units of writing is the paragraph. It is a bit of a mystery. People usually just type and type and type until they reach a dead end, hit return, and wham, there's a paragraph. But that really overlooks what the paragraph is supposed to be. And understanding that and knowing how to craft a paragraph is the key to producing any decent piece of writing. So let's consider the paragraph. It is about making your case. And a paragraph irreducibly gets to the idea of conveying one idea, a single idea. If you bear that in mind, you know what you're doing at all times and you're not just typing loosely. Every idea, however, needs substance and communication. An idea is a flash of brilliance. It's an inspiration. It is often quite incoherent to anybody but you. So you need to communicate that, and you need to give it a kind of support and framing that other people can grasp, and that is substance. How do you do that? Well, you work within a relatively simple format, and what I recommend is C, statement, evidence, explanation. 3 simple steps. Every paragraph has these 3 elements. Every decent paragraph in a, let's say, nonfiction piece of writing has these 3 elements that organize it as a paragraph and make it a paragraph. So let's start. Statement. A statement is a single idea expressed in a simple sentence. You don't want to make it complicated. If you can't state what your idea is in a simple declarative statement, then you don't know what it is, and you're not going to be able to communicate to anybody else. Essentially, your statement is what you want to prove. You want to be able to express this to another person and have them engage with your idea. Maybe they're swayed to it, maybe not, but they have to take it seriously. That's the goal of a statement. Give me a noun, give me a verb, give me a very short trail after that, and put a period at the end. Make it clear. After that, you have evidence. Evidence is empirical fact that supports your statement. Anybody can say something, but when you provide evidence, that suddenly goes, oh, well, okay, this has some validity to it. I need to pay attention to this at least. Numbers, statistics, and quotations always make the best evidence because they have that ring of authority to it. Evidence is you bringing in something. You might not have any authority on your own, but if you can cite experts, if you can cite facts, if you can cite empirically agreed upon facts of the world, of reality, then you can borrow that credibility. You can borrow that authority in building your own case. That does not, however, cinch it. The most important and the part that people tend to rush through is the explanation. The explanation ties it all together. It explains how the evidence proves the statement. When you go through an argument like this, you want to build it with this kind of logical framework. Providing the evidence, a lot of people just want to walk away at that point, say, well, cite a little fact, and people think it's a mic drop moment, and they just walk off. And that's very dramatic. And sometimes it can work, but rarely. And you really don't want to leave that up to chance. So you explain it. You do the work for your reader. You tie it all together. You say, hey, look, okay, here is this fact from somewhere else, but it supports what I'm saying because. And then you walk them through the process. You don't leave it up to your reader to knit it all together on their own because they've got other things to do. Do it for them. Why all the fuss? Well, a believable claim needs support. We can see this on Twitter, where people make wildly untrue 180-character statements by the million every second of every day. This shows that anything that takes so few words could be distrusted on sight. Thus, a statement that can be followed by evidence and a thorough explanation of how that evidence proves the statement is more substantive and more inherently believable. Yeah, it's about making an argument. But look at how that paragraph right there works. That paragraph is in form and content coherent because look how it starts. A believable claim needs support. Well, that is a statement. That is a clear, simple subject, verb, predicate statement. A believable claim needs support. You could argue that in a number of different ways, but you're here arguing for this claim. Following that, we get straight to evidence. We can see this on Twitter. You're automatically shifting the attention of your reader to something more objective, something more empirically based, something more observable. You can open up Twitter and scroll through and find people talking about all sorts of crazy things. And so it has a certain validity. You can see this with your eyes. It is provable. So you cite it as evidence. And the fact that it has numbers in there, even if it's a little bit up in the air, you know, the millions by the million every second of every day, I don't have hard data that is true, but I'll bet if I did a little digging, I could come up with some. But following that, you can't just leave your reader hanging with that. You can't rely on them to do the work that you're supposed to do. So you provide an explanation like this paragraph does. This shows that. Remember those three words. This shows that is a nice little tripwire. Every time you produce evidence, follow it immediately with the phrase, this shows that. Because then that automatically tells you, along with your reader, that it is time to explain something, because you're pointing to the evidence and saying, okay, now let me show you how to interpret this evidence and show you how it proves what I am trying to say in my statement. This shows that anything that takes so few words should be distrusted on sight. Thus, a statement that can be followed by evidence and a thorough explanation of how that evidence proves a statement is more substantive and more inherently believable. So what you have done right there is tied it all together and said something with some backup, with some heft, something that doesn't always occur on Twitter, quite frankly, because you have produced something more than just a brain fart. You have produced a paragraph, and a paragraph is an argument. An argument is not necessarily people squabbling back and forth, but this is argument in the rhetorical sense of you are making a case. And that is a very powerful skill to have. Consider this. When you make an argument, you can accomplish just about anything. Make an argument. Let's just say you're going up to a professor and and the class is dwindling and you're looking at the clock. And so you decide to raise your hand and make an argument. Say, we deserve to end class early. Today's class has been focused on using evidence to support arguments. The significance of that lesson needs time to settle, and further details might dilute the effect. This means that we should stop now. The full weight of that lesson will make a greater impression if it's left uncluttered by leaving early. See? It's an argument. It has substance. It has logic. It ties it all together. And your professor, let's say me, would be a little bit hesitant to argue against that, because it makes a clear and substantive point. I might just dismiss somebody who says, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm bored. That's not a compelling argument. Making a compelling argument draws on the on a less self-interested basis. You're not saying, I just don't want to be here today. You're making an argument crafted around the idea of it would be counterproductive to spend any more time here today. That's an argument. Trying to actually get what you want instead of just expressing discontent. And through an argument, you can accomplish anything. And thinking in those terms that, okay, just saying something doesn't do anything. What do I actually want to accomplish? When you can reflexively think in those terms and understand that just saying something means nothing unless I provide some support, then you have power. And then once you can think and write in paragraphs, you can get anything you want. You want a raise from your boss? Produce an argument. You want to quit school early? Produce an argument. You want, when you're a teenager, you want your parents to let you stay out a little later than usual because of the big party. Produce a logical argument. And then they can dismiss you, but they have to at least engage with the idea because you are framing it in a compelling way that demands attention. So if you remember nothing else in this class, remember statement, evidence, explanation, C. This is superpower.